Hi, welcome to the Tom Patelson Show. You saw the link in the description. I've been asked on Instagram and TikTok, hey, I know you like Star Trek. I haven't watched any Star Trek. Where should I start? That is a heck of a question. That is a heck of a question, and it made me realize something. The original Star Trek series came out in 1963 and ran for 3 years to 1966. Then the movie came out, the first one, the motion picture, in 1979, and we didn't get another series until 1987 when Star Trek The Next Generation premiered, which is my personal favorite. Since then, there have been a few others. Including the original series, there are 11 television series for Star Trek, for a total of 870 episodes. And I still hear people like, I'm just going to binge them. I'll just watch, I'll just start and I'll just binge them all. Okay, if you watch 2 a day starting now without a break, it'll still take you 1 year and just over 2 months to watch every single episode of Star Trek. If you're a completionist, then my heart goes out to you. I know plenty of people who are completionists who have to have the everything or they can't get involved in the anything. That's what completionism means to me. So I've organized which Star Treks you should watch into 2 tiers. Not which ones I love or not love as much, but which ones you can watch without needing to watch any other Star Trek. Okay? And then there are ones that you need to watch other Star Trek to understand. Okay, so Tier 1. Tier 1 has the original series. You can watch the original series, all 3 seasons, and be fine, and you'll know what's happening. Then, The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager, you can watch in any order, anytime you want. Any of those episodes in any order. Now, there'll be some crossover, because Worf goes to Deep Space Nine, and that won't make any sense to you, but you'll get it, you'll understand it. Those 3 series all came out around the same time, and all have the same uniform style and the same basic cast structure, so they all appear at the same timeline. I'll post a timeline at the end when this series happens, you can understand that. So you can watch any of those 3 and you'll know what's going on. Star Trek Enterprise. Enterprise happens at the very beginning of the Federation. Absolute very beginning. I think in the first episode they had difficulty with the photon torpedoes. You can watch Star Trek Enterprise right off of the bat. Prodigy. Star Trek Prodigy is brand new. I think they're on their 2nd season. They came out through Nickelodeon, and it's for kids. It is animated, it's for kids. You don't need any prior Star Trek knowledge to get into it, and for kids to start watching Star Trek then, it would be fine. In the timeline, it comes after Star Trek Voyager, because Captain Janeway is returned, and she plays a part in that as a hologram, Star Trek Prodigy. Or Star Trek, the animated series from the 1970s, which is still available. I think it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch all of those, or on Paramount Plus, which has all of the Star Trek episodes. That's Tier 1. You can watch any of those series and be fine without any other prior knowledge. However, the shows in Tier 2, you will need other prior knowledge, such as Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is fantastic. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be close to Tier 1 because you don't really need to know the rest of what happens, although it is mentioned what happens. This happens in the timeline just before Captain Kirk becomes captain of the Starship Enterprise. Captain Pike is the captain before Kirk, so that's when this happens in the timeline. But it is all episodic, and it doesn't run together. You can watch any episode that you want. Love that. Star Trek Discovery is Tier 1 and Tier 2. The first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery happen before Kirk is captain of the Enterprise, and then they go to the future, way, way past, so the furthest in the future for seasons 3 and 4, and now season 5. Star Trek Picard. There will be 3 seasons of Star Trek Picard. It follows the exploits of Captain Jean-Luc Picard from the Starship Enterprise from Star Trek The Next Generation. So without knowing that, you're not going to know who he is or why we should care about him at all. We love him the most. Loves Captain Picard. And season 3 is going to reunite the Next Generation cast. So maybe get a jump on the Next Generation if you want to watch Picard. Star Trek Lower Decks. Guilty pleasure, absolutely fun, love it. It parodies and makes fun of Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager. Those three that come in that little box, that little time frame. And Lower Decks makes fun of all of those, and playfully so, and it's well written, and it's great Trek. Love that. Those are the Tier 2. So you can watch the ones in Tier 1 or the ones in Tier 2. Here's the timeline of when all those shows happen, and you can jump around anything you like. But yeah, getting into Star Trek, if you've never watched it, you can also start skipping the TV series and just watch the movies. There are 13 movies you could watch. You can watch them in any order, though it's recommended you watch the first 6, 1 through 6. Otherwise, it's going to get weird. You won't understand why the Enterprise is blown up or not. Spoiler alert. Yeah, and if you want to watch the best of all of them, the best original cast movie is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and my personal favorite. The Next Generation cast best movie is Star Trek First Contact, and the best reboot is the first reboot, just titled Star Trek. Oh, it's so good. And you know what? You'll figure it out. If you wind up watching one series and you don't know what you're doing, in a couple of episodes, or maybe one episode, you'll figure out what's going on. Star Trek's not hard to figure out. They're in the future, and it's not hard to figure out. Oh, yeah, jump in. There's so much Trek. If you want to jump in on Trek, there is so much Star Trek for you to watch. So much. Time for a shout out. This goes to Diana Battle, who commented on my Why Star Trek video. This is my favorite monologue of yours. I imagine there are many folks that feel the same way. Thank you for that, Diana. I really appreciate that. That monologue I wrote and was my first TikTok post and my first Instagram post in a while, where I wrote something and put it out to the world, and a lot of people responded. It's got over 1 million views on TikTok. And it really is why I love Star Trek. Star Trek has hope. Star Trek has hope. So give that a watch, and thank you, Diana. Appreciate you. That'll do it for this episode. Thanks for chiming in. Thanks for listening. And once again, see something you like and subscribe. Follow me on this journey together, and let me know what you're jonesing about. Let me know what you like. Let me know you're geek. Let me know you're nerd. As always, till I see you next time, peace, love, live long and prosper. And I mean that.